Hey guys, Dr. John Eckhart here. I wanted to encourage you concerning our number 5 strongman value, accountability. Wow, a lot of men spend their entire lives dodging accountability, when really one of the greatest values we can have in our lives is this thing called accountability. Let me read to you from the StrongMen handbook. Accountability is the practice of transparent communication. A strongman opens the closets of his life and invites other men to observe him and offer constructive criticism. We acknowledge our mistakes and we learn from them. This is how we grow. Accountability, wow, what a mysterious thing. You know, in our marriages, most men are completely annoyed when their wives want information, want to have a conversation, and they feel nagged. Hi honey, gee, you're home from work late. Where have you been? And immediately within the heart of a carnal, unregenerate man comes the response, well, what business is it of yours? Do I answer to you? I'm the boss. It's all an aversion to accountability. But accountability is such an important value to have anchored in our lives. Again, from the handbook, it is the practice of transparent communication. Our lives should be an open book. Everything that happens in our life is an open book to the Lord. He sees it. Yeah, we like to think maybe He doesn't because we refuse to look at it, but He does. He sees it. We can't fudge that. That's a for real deal. God looks at the life of every individual He might choose to look at and sees exactly what's going on and what's not going on. But we like to think that if we do not bring things into the open, that they are actually hidden and that no one knows what's going on. But the truth is, most people have an idea something's going on. And we need to begin to operate in an accountability. And accountability is the practice of transparent communication. A strong man opens the closets of his life and invites other men to observe him and offer constructive criticism. For you to be able to walk in accountability with other men requires a lot of courage, but it requires something else that we haven't talked about, and that is trust. Accountability is built on trust. Trust, how do we trust? How do we grow in trust? We trust those we play with. Trust is an expression of love often in the life of a man. We love those we spend time with. So what we want to do is we want to spend time with and enjoyable time with other men. But not just any other men. Men who are going to be helpful to us in our lives. Every man spends time with the jokers he grew up with. Whether those fellows are good men or terrible examples of a man, father, and husband. We all have these relationships. We have relationships with good people and bad people. We have relationships with people who will help us and people who will hinder us. We need to start looking at our relationships and saying which ones are good, and then spending time in those healthy relationships with healthy men because we want their influence in our lives. The goal is for me to be accountable with other men, to bring the hidden things of my heart out into the light. That's not easy to do if I don't have the right relationships. As a matter of fact, it's a foolish thing to do without the right relationships. This is one of the primary reasons that strongman forums exist. It's a place where good men can come together to process the facts and truths and solid values of life, incorporate them, build them into our own lives, and become trustworthy men. Not just men that say, I need you to trust me. No, become trustworthy. Then we will trust you. How do I become a trustworthy man? By being connected with other good men. Our weaknesses as well as our strengths rub off on each other. To have an accountable life means I'm living transparently, which means I'm hanging out with men who are a good influence in my life. Now, I don't know about you, but think of people you admire. What kind of people do they spend their time with? Do they spend their time with a bunch of losers? Or do they spend their time with other successful people? People that you would like to be like, that you admire. Who are the people around them? They're probably other people that you admire. They're all admirable people. We need to be admirable people as well. It starts out then by practicing accountability. I connect with other men as friends or mentors. And I say, I really want to grow in this area. I'm feeling this value of courage stirring in my heart. And I'm saying, I want to be a better man. I want to change in this relationship. I want to treat my wife better. So, now here's accountability. Accountability says, so I want you to look into my life. When you see me interacting with my wife, when we are coming out of our home before we get into the taxi or into the car, I want you to watch how I handle her, how I treat her. Am I talking to her and she's following 10 steps behind me, and I'm talking straight ahead and, disrespecting her by not even looking at her when I talk to her? Am I opening the door for her and harnessing my strength to serve her by coming around the car, opening her door, letting her in, closing the door, and then walking around on my side? Am I treating her with dignity and respect? I want people in my life who will talk to me, who will criticize me. Well, that's a tough word, isn't it? I want people in my life who will criticize me, but who love me in the criticism, who are being constructive. We call it constructive criticism for that reason, that they are helping me construct, build my life better by telling me what they see, telling me what they don't see, but they'd like to see in my life. So I need to have relationships that I am committing myself to, saying, friend, when you see me interacting with my wife, would you be honest enough with me to tell me where I'm making mistakes? Maybe I don't even know I'm making mistakes, but will you tell me? That's an accountable life. That's a healthy life. That should be a normal life for us. And you know what? It can be. You can make these kinds of choices. The forums exist for this purpose. We have the rallies and the tours for the StrongMen where we get inspired and we say, yes, this is what I believe in. I'm choosing fresh today. I'm leaving my past behind. I'm moving into the future that God has for me. But then we need a vehicle, a connecting point beyond that, where on a regular basis I am processing these values. These StrongMen values, these 8 values that we have, that we use as a compass to direct us in a successful life as men, are essential for us to have a fulfilled life. Accountability is value number 5. Will I be an accountable man? Yes. I have the courage for it. I can lead my sons and my daughters and show them this kind of a life, and it's the kind of way they need to live. But will I do it myself? I believe we will. So, how in your life can you become a more, if you already are a little bit, a more accountable man? Or if you're not accountable at all, you're just an island to yourself, but you would say, oh, I'm struck with the truth of this here. I want to be accountable. What do you need to do to become this way? First, you need to connect with people you can trust. And a StrongMen forum is a good place to do that. Now, in a StrongMan's forum, there will be other men just like you who are struggling in the same area. Don't connect for accountability with another man who's struggling in the same area as you. Connect with a man who has victory in that area. And then let the other man who's struggling in the same area as you find out what his strengths are and connect with him according to his strength. The way we relate is important. So if you're struggling with an alcohol problem, don't connect for accountability's sake with another man who struggles with alcohol. That doesn't even make sense on a good day. Struggle with a man who has victory over alcohol and say, I need you to look at my life. Find someone who has a strong marriage that you admire and say, hey, I want you to look at my life in regards to this arena of my marriage. You may not start out with just look at everything in my life. No, look at my marriage. Look at how I treat my children. Find a man who has got good relationships with his children and say, will you help me? Will you mentor me? Will you look at my life? Can I be accountable to you? And then find that place. It requires a submissive heart. It requires a certain wisdom. But you can access that. You can find that. We know that if anyone lacks wisdom, if he asks God for wisdom, God will give it to you. How can you make these connections? You can figure this out. StrongMen Forum's a good place to start. Perhaps there are men within a congregation, a Christian church close to you. Find them. Perhaps there's a boss, someone who's a manager, a leader in the workplace that you admire. Don't go to the guy who's got 3 sweethearts on the side and ask him for help in your marriage. That's not going to work. Find someone whose marriage you want yours to be like. Seek out that man and say, will you help me? What you're asking for is criticism. Criticism's not a bad word. If it's constructive criticism, born out of a relationship where someone cares for me, cares for you.